Itachi and Minato are two very beloved and powerful characters in the Naruto series, but who would win a fight between the two of them? Let's start by analyzing a battle between a live Minato and Itachi, and I'll just assume for the sake of argument that Itachi is healthy and at his prime for now. The first thing that comes to mind when talking about Minato is obviously his speed. He is the fastest character in the series if you don't count Rikudo-like characters. That's a huge problem for anyone fighting him. Minato can evade everything thrown against him. He was only ever tagged twice in the series by Jubidara and Jubito, two extremely powerful characters that were Jubi Jinchurikis, and they were both the most powerful characters we had ever seen at the time of their introductions. He also reacted to 8 Gates Guy fighting Jubidara and managed to block the Gurodamas, a very impressive feat if you ask me. Itachi is by no means slow. He could exchange blows with Cassian 1 Naruto, but his speed is completely dwarfed by Minato's. Itachi's jutsus would also not be fast enough to hit Minato. Amaterasu is definitely his fastest ninjutsu, and people like the 4th Raikage could dodge it pretty well. And Minato was blitzing the 4th Raikage during the 3rd Great Ninja War, so he would easily be able to avoid Amaterasu, the Totsuka Blade, and other ninjutsu Itachi has. The Flying Thunder God increases Minato's speed even further, making him almost impossible to hit. And it can also be used as a very effective offensive jutsu as well. Minato's strategy against Itachi would simply be to harass Itachi, blitzing him with his speed and teleportation while dodging anything Itachi tries to throw at him. Now, the fight wouldn't end immediately with a blitz because Itachi has his Susanoo to defend himself, and I believe that he has a good enough reaction time to use his Susanoo in time to defend himself against Minato's attacks. The fight would devolve into a war of attrition. You see, a live Minato doesn't have anything that can break through Itachi's Susanoo. His Rasengan is his most powerful ninjutsu attack, and a ribcage can easily block that. Now, maybe if Minato used his multiple Rasengan combo, he could break through the ribcage, but still, not through the entire corporeal Susanoo. By the way, if you like this type of content versus battles, please subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you always receive future videos, and also like the video too. Thank you so much. So, in this battle of attrition, Itachi would essentially have to use his Susanoo during the entire fight to avoid being hit by Minato. Minato would eventually win this war of attrition as the Susanoo consumes a ton of chakra and the Flying Thunder God doesn't. Once Itachi runs out of chakra, Minato would easily swoop in for the kill. Itachi may have some counters against the Flying Thunder God, like using Amaterasu on Minato's kunais and Hirashing marks, but Minato would know not to teleport to those. Also, Itachi's intellect, which usually gives him a massive advantage against almost anyone, wouldn't be as useful here because Minato is a genius as well and a very intelligent shinobi. Most of the traps and tricks Itachi could employ against Minato would likely be countered, and in the worst case, Minato could simply teleport away to avoid any surprise attacks. The only way I can conceivably see a live Itachi having any chance in a fight against a live Minato is by using Genjutsu. We don't know how good Minato is at Genjutsu. He doesn't have any feats using or countering Genjutsu. His Genjutsu stats on the data box are, well, not very good. They are 3 out of 5, which isn't great, so we don't know. However, he has Yin release, which is the type of release used for Genjutsu abilities, so he is probably not a slouch at Genjutsu either. I also don't really put a lot of stock in those databook numbers because they can be really contradicting, but still, it's something we can go by. If Minato was completely worthless at Genjutsu, I think Obito would have definitely used that to his advantage, although I don't know if he would be able to cast a Genjutsu on Minato because he was already using Genjutsu to control the Nine Tails. Also, Minato would be very careful not to look at Itachi's eyes. However, Itachi has genjutsu abilities that don't require eye contact, such as the ephemeral, the finger genjutsu. Would Itachi be able to cast that, and would Minato be able to break free? Well, not sure. I would say that the chances are probably 50-50. Itachi could put very powerful people such as Orochimaru under genjutsu, and well, Orochimaru couldn't do anything against Itachi's genjutsu. Orochimaru being pretty good at genjutsu, by the way. I would say he's better than Minato at genjutsu because we never really see Minato doing anything related to it, and we see Orochimaru using genjutsu, so maybe it's feasible for Itachi to beat Minato through genjutsu. Still, Minato is so fast that I think he would probably just outspeed Itachi's chakra when he launches it for the genjutsu towards Minato. So even if Minato isn't able to break out of the genjutsu, hitting him with it would already be very hard. Izanami would be completely useless against Minato. First, because establishing all the conditions to activate the loop would be nigh impossible against Minato's speed, and it would leave Itachi open to Minato's attacks. Also, Izanami only works on people with deep moral flaws. The jutsu is meant to correct those flaws, and the target only exits the loop once these flaws are overcome. However, Minato doesn't really have any moral flaws. I mean, he's the most kind-hearted, good-natured character in the series, so Izanami would just not work at all against him. The most obvious win-con for Itachi is using Tsukuyomi on Minato. If Minato is caught by it, he loses. But how is Itachi gonna do that? I find it very difficult. Maybe there is a small chance, but under normal circumstances, Minato is taking this fight mid-difficulty. By the way, obviously, sick Itachi would also lose this fight, but it would not be as long because he wouldn't be able to keep the Susanoo activated for as long as alive Prime Itachi. And I'm not really going to explore Sage Mode Minato here because he says himself that he sucks at Sage Mode, and I know he has a perfect Sage Mode, but as he never uses it in battle, well, the only time he used it was against Jubidara because he couldn't hit him otherwise. I believe in what he says because he just doesn't use it anymore, and I think he wouldn't be very effective, so he wouldn't really use against Itachi. I mean, if he didn't use against Obito when the village was under attack, I find it very hard he would use it against Itachi anyway. And just for fun, let's pair up Edo Itachi versus Alive Minato, simply because this is probably the most interesting fight out of their matchups, the most equally matched, I would say. Now, defeating an Edo Tensei requires a sealing technique, and I definitely think Minato would have a way to seal Itachi. After all, he knew the Uzumaki hidden jutsu, such as the Reaper Death Seal. I think he would have something up his sleeve a bit weaker than that, you know, the Reaper Death Seal, so he would probably be able to use it on Itachi without sacrificing his life. Well, if he doesn't have a jutsu like that, this fight would be very difficult for him because he would have to sacrifice himself to seal Itachi away. But anyway, how would this fight go? Much better for Itachi, actually. Without a chakra limit, he would be able to maintain his Susanoo activated indefinitely, which negates all of Minato's attacks. I also see this turning into a battle of attrition, just like the first fight, but this time, with infinite chakra, Itachi would be the victor. If Minato decides to fight until the end, that is. Because that's the thing about Minato, if he knows he's going to lose, he can just teleport away from the battlefield and survive any battle essentially. It would still be difficult to hit Minato and Itachi would have to work on a proper strategy, but regardless, not having to worry about chakra and stamina, Itachi would be able to employ more powerful combos, making it easier for him to land genjutsus or even other regular attacks on Minato. It wouldn't be easy, of course, if Itachi isn't careful. If for some reason he drops his Susanoo, he loses. But I see Edo Itachi taking this fight mid to high difficulty with a pretty long runtime. Okay, now let's talk about Edo Itachi versus Edo Minato. This is a pretty bad stomp, I'm not gonna lie. So, Minato is the fastest character in the series. Then you slap a KCM2 on top of him. KCM2, which is a buff that made Naruto, who was never a speedster, into one of the fastest characters in the series. Imagine what that would do to a freaking speedster like Minato! If you disregard people with Six Paths powers, Jubitin Chirikis, and Otsutsukis, the only people stronger than Edo Minato are Madara and Hashirama. He is, without a doubt, one of the strongest characters in the series, being able to teleport massive Bijudamas away, easily keeping up with Jubito and all other types of crazy feats. His speed is just in another league. Also, now he has abilities of massive destructive potential like the Bijudama and a massive Rasengan the size of the QB Avatar. Oh, yeah, he can use the QB Avatar as well, which is way larger and more powerful than Itachi Susanoo. I don't even try to argue with the usual Yano Mirror excuse because his speed is just enough to attack Itachi Susanoo from the other side where the Yano Mirror is not covering it. And the Totsuka Blade would just not be able to hit KCM2 Minato. Sorry, there is no way. Also, Itachi's trump card, his Genjutsu, wouldn't work on Edo Minato because he's a perfect Jinchuriki. Kurama would simply snap him out of any Genjutsu. Not even sure if Tsukiyomi would be effective, saying that Minato is a revived body that doesn't feel pain, and Tsukiyomi relies on dealing great psychological damage in a very short span of time. None of Itachi's jutsus would work against Edo Minato, and he would be absolutely stumped. There's absolutely nothing Itachi can do to win this, and that's the summary of it. Anyway, if you want to watch a battle where Itachi does much better, click on the video showing up on the screen, and leave your comments down below as well. Let me know what you guys think, and also give me ideas for future versus battles. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and ring the notification bell to make sure you always receive the videos, and thanks for watching.